How did you win that project? What'd you do?
I didn't hear from them for a while. The next thing you know, they started asking me questions, and I was like, all right, you told me, hey, if they're asking questions, that's good. I had no responses. And then within a week, I had 3 awards.
You're not a certified electrician.
That is correct. They never even asked me anything about any certification. You gave me a lot of great ideas with your online courses. That was really, really helpful. You're like the loudest voice there. So they don't send you pleasantries. They message you when they need you. Just keep going, keep communicating, knowing how to efficiently communicate with the people that I need to communicate so they'll know. Do a little research on any of the deals that you're doing, because
Now, if I remember correctly, you were doing LED lighting.
yes, sir.
Okay. Are you still doing LED lighting?
I am, but it's like, I'm whatever they need, you know what I mean? But it is LED lighting for sure.
Okay. All right. And so tell us what's going on, what's happened since we've last spoken.
So the first project that we got was from the Parks and Recreation of the city. And I'm used to, switching out lighting that, a business or a dwelling has, or giving them new lighting for a new, location or whatever. But the wiring and everything is already there. So for my first job, they wanted me to do stadium lights outside with no replacements. Just do the whole thing, right? Go get the trenchers and the telehandlers and the bucket lifts and everything else, and dig this quarter of a mile and it was so I was like, all right, I went out there and went to the site location, and it was just they had some gas powered lighting that they have been renting out there every month and for the last couple of years. And when it started getting dark, people were turning on their high beams from their vehicles for the kids to see the soccer field. And I'm like, all right, yeah, y'all definitely need some lighting out here. So we got it going, brought on the concrete people and the electricians, and then, got all the equipment and kept going back and forth and communicating with them. And nothing went as planned at all. But the end result was that they were happy, and they are. And so now we get to move on to phase 2 and phase 3 of that whole little park right there, plus some other stuff for the city, just the normal city lights there.
How did you win that project? What'd you do?
Don't know where to start? Join our free course. Tired of working alone? Join 4,000 plus members. Have questions or want to talk to someone who's done it before? Join our free webinar. And all of this plus more is included inside of federalhelpcenter.com. Join today for free to get started.
So I saw it came out online. Okay. And I didn't necessarily think much of even, I was like, oh, I'll put in for it or whatever. But I ended up running into the city manager when I took my daughters to a ROTC, their little weekend ROTC thing for them to work out there. And he saw the magnet on my vehicle saying that I was a lighting contractor. And he asked me if I would mind following him. So he took me to the park, and he pointed at some 70-foot high lights. And he's like, hey, man, you think you can get me anything like these? And I'm like, absolutely, whatever you need. And he's like, okay, all right, well, I got another project for you to work on first. And I'm like, hey, whatever you got. And so he connected me to the Parks and Recreation guy. And then he told me that they only had about a week until they were going to make a decision. They already had multiple bids in. And so I'm put in, and I didn't hear from them for a while. The next thing you know, they started asking me questions, and I was like, all right, you told me on one of your videos sometime back, hey, if they're asking questions, that's good. And so, at the end of the questions, they were just letting me know that, okay, all right, you're our pick, but we got to wait until the first Tuesday of the month or whatever for us to vote or whatever. And so the next thing you know, they went and then voted on, and then I got the deal, and we got going right away.
Nice. Okay. All right. No, that sounds interesting. So, all right. So that was a city project that you did. Nice.
And I did another one for the airport here.
Okay. All right. And so that was the first one. And then what about the second one?
So the second one was the airport one. It's
Okay.
they just had some lights go out, and they looked me up. I was on there as a vendor and everything, and the company that they hired to install them, the electricians, they asked me to, submit a package for them, because they had already used me before. And so and I'm like, dude, I'm already competing on this thing. And I'm like, all right, you know what? Yeah, let's do it. And so I submitted a package to them, and it was a very quick situation. I submitted on Monday, and then we found out by Friday that we got that one. And then the very next Monday, found out that we got another one from the airport that I'm supplying on. And that one's a little bit bigger, And so I'm pretty excited about that. But it's just all at one time. All these deals just kind of came through.
Great. No, I think that's amazing. Because like you said, you've been out there, putting yourself out there for a while. Now, tell me the airport job. You said you were already submitting on it. Tell me more. Like, what do you mean that you're already submitting on it?
So I already saw they had put out a little solicitation for the material before, and I saw what the deadline date was, and that
Okay.
I had like 3 weeks to put it in or whatever. But when he came to me, it was only a day after I saw it, and he had already had his stuff worked up. So they had
Okay.
communicated with him, beforehand, and so I feel like, you know what, he's probably in a better situation than I am. So we need to team together. We need to team up on this thing. And sure enough, we end up getting quick response and everything. So that one worked out pretty good. I decided not to submit it, individually when I'm already dealing with somebody that has that relationship. And then not even a week later, we found out about the third one, which was the first thing I actually put in for before either of the other two.
Mhm.
And it was quite a while after we should have already heard something. So I
Right.
just kind of forgot about it.
Right.
And
Right.
then
Right.
next thing
Right.
you know, they were like, hey, guess what? That's yours. And I'm like, all right, that'll work. And so I've been submitting more and more safety stuff. They keep asking me for more and more stuff. But now I think, everything is satisfied to them, and it's been approved. So I'm just waiting for that sucker to fund and whatnot. But it's been pretty exciting now to find these things actually starting to come together. But
Right.
I can tell you, like on the airport, that was after I've already been to 3 meetings here,
Okay.
meeting the people for the airport. You know what I
Right.
mean? I just decided to, go to the events, as much as I possibly can, and you know, keep seeing them and talking to them and send them emails, and at some point it almost gets a little disheartening because you're like, man, this is the third time I've seen y'all. I've been
Right.
calling y'all like you
Right.
owe me child support. I've been emailing y'all
Right.
left and
Right.
right. Like I've been, and then all of a sudden, from different angles, they all hit me up, and that's what it is when they need you, then
Right.
that's when it's
Right.
game. And so I was excited about that.
Well, one of the things that I mention to people is, you never know when your activities are going to yield fruit, right? So you plant the seed, and then, I mean, you can't really see what's happening under the ground. You kept watering it,
Big
and,
time.
you didn't go try to dig it up, right? You didn't try to like mess with it. You're like, hey, okay, and that's part of what I like to see. In fact, I'm here with a friend of mine. He's saying the same thing. How these stories are encouraging for him because you're throwing stuff out there. You're seeing if anything sticks, and it's this is great to have someone share their experiences of what they're going through, because then we don't feel we're alone out here, right? You think like it's only happening to me. No, it's happening to everybody. you know and we didn't even mention
Absolutely.
where are you physically located?
I'm in San Antonio, Texas.
Okay, there you go. Okay. And so all the projects you're chasing are in that area, I'm assuming.
Yes,
Okay.
absolutely.
Okay. Yeah, so I mean, for me, I think that's great. Where some of the activities that you can finally say, okay, this you could connect the dot. So one of the things Steve Jobs says, you can only connect the dots looking backwards. You can't connect them looking forward, right? So now you
Amen.
you have that to say, well, I see where these other activities got me to where I'm at today.
100%, 100%. So I made a checklist of just kind of what I'm going to continue to do going forward, and so not missing any of the meetings is a big deal. Like wherever they're at, I see you all on LinkedIn and everything. You're always flying all around and going to the events and stuff like that. You're not doing that to just see what it's like in these different cities. It's a relationship can go a long way, and so my first deal definitely taught me that, because that guy didn't really know me, the city manager, from nobody. But he asked me to follow him in a park we were already in because I was picking up my girls. And
Right.
he's like, hey, if they're working this hard, doing these railroad ties and everything else, and, I already told them they could leave 2 hours ago, like half the other people, and they're still here. So, I know they learned that from somebody. And so he just told me, here, I'm going to give you to somebody else first. And I've had to compete or whatever, but I could tell based on the relationship that, you know what, this is probably mine to get here. And sure enough, we ended up getting it. And then it was a relationship yet again, for the second one. And so it's like, they can't trust you if they've never met you. You know what I mean? And so you need to get where they're at and shake their hand and tell them what's up. And turns out they're in that office and they're like, yeah, we know you. I got your email. He got your email. Like, I would have never known. I've literally never gotten a response from anybody in there. And they're like,
Wow.
no, we were talking about you the other day or whatever. I'm like,
Wow.
really? And they're like, yeah, your email. There's always something a little funny in there. You're official. You're straight up, but you're always say something funny or something. I need to read my own emails. I don't. But anyway, it's like you don't know, like you say, you can't know what the roots are looking like and everything else. But if you keep putting in the winning actions, it's going to bear some fruit no matter what. It's going to bear some fruit.
Yeah, I think that's the biggest part of it all. And it's good also to know, coming from you're in a very specific niche market, right? Like, so you're not an electrical company. You're not a certified electrician. I'm assuming, correct?
That is correct.
Right.
That is correct. I've now added that to my NICS codes and I've done jobs now commercially anyway that are not lighting at all. It's just electrical, because I'm always matching, the electrical companies with the size of the project that I'm doing. You know what I mean? I got a warehouse going on, and I got a big company doing that, and I got a couple barbershops going on right now, and I got a couple smaller companies doing that. It's just, so I take the electrical work, and then I'll find the people for them. And sometimes that's 75% of the project right there. And I just thought they wanted you to be the technical person that do. No, they want to not be stressed and not be worried that whoever is going to do it, that they're going to handle it, that they're going to communicate well, and that they going to get the right people and everything and make it happen. And so that's what I've had to do, because it's my part is the smallest part on the last 5 or 6 jobs I've done, just the lighting. Everything else is everything else, and who I'm bringing in. You know what I mean? The concrete guy and this person or whatever. So we're so it's getting around there. But no, I'm not a electrician company, but I am getting electrical bids and going to these construction companies and everything. And that's kind of been my breakthrough here as of late, when we had the business conference for the county here. All the construction companies that were there and stuff, communicating and talking to them about electrical services and other energy conservation things. And so they're calling me up and just saying, hey, you're this, aren't you? Your hub, or you're this or that. Or okay, all right, well, okay, well, I need this and this. Can you do that? And I'm like, yeah. And so I'm not saying no to nothing, and it's not taking me long to kind of figure things out. So with the construction companies, and then Texas Department of Transportation, it's ball is finally moving now.
No, listen, I think that's wonderful. For me, I would say I didn't hear you mention the word certification at all in none of your conversation.
So Hub is the only one that, you know what I mean? That's what the county and stuff is using. But essentially, if you can do the work, and you can get in front of people and show that you can be at least consistent at that, and start doing the work, just estimating, communicating, then they'll find a way to make things happen. It's that certifications are not the end all be all. And that is what I felt like in the beginning, for sure. I'm like, hey, I'm this, and that. And they're like, great. Can you do what you're saying that you can do? And I'm like, yeah, yeah. And they're like, all right, great. Let's start with that. I'm like, all right, whatever. It's more like commercial than I thought. It's just, relationships and what are your actual capabilities, not what it says on paper. What have you done? What can you do? And who are you doing it with? And when they get a good feel for you and know that you know what you're talking about, you there's no excuses to not make it.
Right, right. Yeah. So, I mean, I hear you, but, and you led with that. And then, so how were they able to give you the project without being certified?
So that's a good question. So honestly, the first one, that Parks and Recreation, they never even asked me anything about any certification.
Right.
And one of the airport deals, so two out of the first three, they did not ask for anything. You're right. They were just can you supply? The only time anybody asks me for anything is when we're at the conferences or whatever, because that's like, it's commercial or whatever, you know what I mean? But when they're calling you or they're emailing you, it's can you do this? Can you do this? And within the time frame that we got. And that's kind of what it's been like.
Right. That makes sense. No, it's interesting because like I said, right now, what we're doing is we're having a conversation about capabilities and also about being able to perform and deliver. And you also mentioned that he trusted you.
Yeah.
Right? Because a lot of times we say, well, we need to have past performance and this before we do that. I didn't hear you mention any of that either.
So they wanted to know. They did ask me for past performance with the Parks and Recreation to see if I did stadium lights and stuff like that before.
Okay.
And that is what I had the absolute smallest past performance in of any of the other kind of lighting. Okay. And they were still like, all right, well, he wanted to just meet with me. He was like, hey, let's that's funny. The city manager was like, hey, how about I meet you out there at the park? And I'm like, all right. And then he just like, hey, you can do this? And I'm like, yeah. And he's like, okay, you can handle this, all the parts of it. And I'm like, yes, sir. And he's like, all right, that's all I need to hear. And he left, and that's it. And then it was actually a couple hours after that I found out that I actually got it. But it was a straight up, just like, that was the only questions he asked me. And so it wasn't about anything else. He just wanted to know if I'm, BSing him with my quote or not.
Mm. Do you know how you came in terms of pricing versus everybody else?
Yeah. They told me after I was done that out of the four other bids or whatever, I came in about $30-something thousand cheaper than the cheapest bid.
Okay.
And so he and he told me, he's like, hey, can you do this for this price? Because if not, you need to go up a little bit. So he's like, I don't want you handing this back to me. And I'm like, I'm not gonna hand it back to you. I said, I'm not gonna make $1 million off of it, but I'm not gonna hand it back to you. I'm gonna make this happen. And and so I learned there, because I was gonna make it cheaper, and I was like, you know what, I'm not really trying to lose on this. I want to, want to know I'm competent. I can make this thing happen or whatever else. And I don't want to underbid myself here. And so I still end up more or less kind of doing that, but it was well worth it for him to know that he can rely on me and stuff like that. He's told me, as much as you communicated about everything, I couldn't have even told anybody else to be this on it or whatever, so I appreciate that. And I always knew if there was equipment out here left overnight, if this was going to be here, if that was going to be there, without having checked with you. And that kind of means a lot, And so communication is big.
That's awesome. That's great. But you said you forgot to tell me something.
Yeah. So I also just got a sole source from the VA, and it's not like crazy huge, but it's a remodel section of so it's several different uh, operating rooms and everything. So they just sent me a sole source deal, and I'm like, okay. And my communication with them was pretty much like, hey, you want this thing? You're a service disabled veteran. Like, do you want it? It's yours. And I'm like, you wait so long for something when somebody just gives it to you like that. I'm like,
How
okay,
long?
so no competition, no this, and I'm like, I'm acting like a dog that's with three legs here. I'm just once bitten, twice shy over here, and so I'm like, nope, I'll do it. I will put this in right away. Don't worry about it. You'll have it here before Friday 5 p.m. So I got that about 95% done now, and so I'm pretty daggone excited. That's my first time ever having anything like that, to where because even if I was told, okay, yeah, this is kind of, there was always some level of kind of competition, but this was just like dropped in my lap, right? And so it's like this will be the fourth one or fifth one now, and so I'm pretty daggone excited. I definitely want more like this, and I can tell that these are the ones. These are the people to mess with for that. You know what I mean? The VA, if they're gonna hand them out like cookies, then I'll be the cookie monster. It's
How long
so
have you
cheesy.
how long have you been reaching out to the VA?
Like about a month and a half,
Okay. Okay.
about 3 weeks before I got that one.
Okay. Okay.
Yep.
That's not bad numbers.
Hey, it's not now everything else. 18 months, 2 years,
Right.
7 months. Like
Right.
that is not, I've not had anything like that. That blew my mind, but they were like, yeah, this is the diversity supply material supplier person, whatever. They'll let you know when they just need something. And so I'm like, oh, okay, everybody's got something different. Hey, go check our website out, every Friday. Hey,
Mhm.
you'll get actual emails based on your NICS codes. Hey, this will happen, that'll happen. So I know who and how to go to everybody. And then I got a list of people to just communicate with. So I'm just messaging them directly. And so I've already been told by two other things. I forget this too. They told me, hey, we got something coming out here in the next couple weeks. It's going to be for a lot of lighting. I'm going to send it to you directly, but be looking out for it as well. And then I got another deal, same thing. He's like, hey, be looking out for me here in about 2 weeks. You know, I'm I'm gonna send it to you. For some reason, it doesn't go to everybody, but be looking for it, man. I put them on the calendar. Everything else is just like they say. Fortune is in the follow up. So it's how many times, how many touches. I'm trying to figure out how many touches it's taken for things to go from beginning to end, and it's so different with everybody because I'm just going to focus on just a few agencies. I see that a lot of the people I'm interviewing, the companies and the people that are getting the deals. You know what I mean? And it's blowing me away. Out of the last 12 people that's done five or more deals, it's about 80-90% of the revenue they're getting is from one or two agencies
Mhm.
every time. And so it's like, okay, so I'm just, you're learning, if you have the mindset for that you're going in there looking to learn, seeing how you can help everybody else, and then what you can get third, you're gonna do something great every time, and so you know just like I was saying, it's just been building up and building up, building up, and boom, from
No, snowball.
every
Yeah.
area.
That's an
Yeah, and
avalanche.
and
Yeah.
not from one place or two places or three places. It's from everywhere, you know what I mean? And so and everybody's referencing how much I'm following up, and that's kind of been the important thing. It's they don't send you pleasantries. They message you when they need you. And so that's so that helps me out because I'm used to a conversation. I message you, you message me back. And so if you don't message me a few times, it's like, okay, I'll stop bothering you. And they're like, hey, keep bothering us.
Right.
Keep sending us messages. Keep doing. Everybody's across the line have said that. Nobody said don't call me.
No.
Nobody said don't email. Everybody said keep doing what you're doing. So
Yeah.
okay, all right. So that's and you said that I don't know how many daggone videos, and that's so and everybody knows that, but to do that and to track it. It's like, okay, oh, I feel like I've communicated with them 10 times. It's been 3. All right, let me do it again here. Let me, figure it out. And I'd even ask some of them, hey, I get that you told me to keep communicating with you, but how often should I communicate with you to where it's not annoying, but you remember me? And they said that's a good question, and laugh at me sometimes, whatever. And they're like, you know what? Once a month. Somebody else told me once every 2 weeks. Well, that's what I put in as the CRM. That's when the alarm is going off to do that again there and just put it on the calendar. So they like when I ask them that, and they like that my questions are about them. You know what I mean? And how I can help them. And now they're trying to call me in. Hey, can you do this? Can you do that? It's like I couldn't even get people to respond to me for the things I actually do.
Right.
And now people are communicating with me about stuff I didn't even do. The answer is yes, but it's awesome,
Because you're a problem solver.
That's right, brother. That's right. That's what I'm trying to do.
You're a problem solver, and you've already demonstrated you come in and you're reliable and you can deliver. That's what they're looking for. This is all. There is a shortage of people who can do that.
That's
Honestly,
right.
There's a shortage.
That's right. Or are willing to.
Or willing.
They're willing to. You know what I mean? It's activity. It's strategic activity for sure.
So I mean, listen, you've been putting in the reps, and now now you're starting to show your little apps and stuff.
Yeah, that's it. That's it. Yeah, man.
So what do you want to say to people listening to this? What do you want them to take away from this conversation today?
So do a little research on any of the deals that you're doing, and because I could have done a little better on my pricing. That's the only areas where I feel like I could have really kind of improved on. But my follow through was big. Continue to communicate no matter what anybody's saying or what they're not saying to you. It's when things happen, it's kind of like, all right, it's yours. You're late. Like it's like, they're ready to rock and there's a whole lot happening without you seeing. And so some of my follow through efforts I've had in my mind, why am I even, this will be my 5th or 6th time even messaging them. But it's like, no, the squeaky wheel gets it. You know what I mean? And so everybody that communicated with me eventually communicated with me with familiarity. Everybody says something along the lines of, referencing my multiple attempts to communicate with them. And they felt like they could trust me just because I was, didn't have anything yet. And I'm chasing the meat on the bone. Right. And so they just felt like, hey, I know we'll be able to reach you. You know what I mean? Hey, you're joking about me. That means you remember me. Like that. There we go. Like we'll do it. And so and schedule the capability briefings. That has been a big one there too, because I was listening. I forgot exactly who you were talking to, because I've gotten a lot from, there's always certain people that you'll have on your calls where there's just so much information. And one of them is, God, I was messaging her not long ago or whatever. God, I think it's Julie. Oh man, let's see here.
Does she have a construction company?
Judy Bratt. Judy Bratt.
Yeah, Judy, yep, Judy Bratt. Yep.
Dude, your players at the different layers. That was a big one. That was a really, really big one for me. Knowing who all my players were at different layers. Yep. Now communicating with the right people. I was shooting a shotgun, and now I'm, it's a sniper rifle. I know who I'm going for and what I need to talk about and how I can help them. You know what I mean? As opposed to what they can do for me. And so, going in there with that kind of an attitude, trying to see what I can help them with and what they primarily buy and stuff like that. And that's made it way more helpful sometimes with even the information that they want to tell me. They're just like, you know what, I should actually communicate, connect you to this person, that person. That is better how you can, help me. Cause I've given them ideas on how I could help them, and they don't know what all, you could do. But now I'm the next few things that I'm quoting, I'm doing it with the person that I did the concrete with for other bigger jobs there with concrete. I'm doing an HVAC guy now, and everything else, I'm just kind of helping out just wherever they need some holes filled, just because they've trusted me to do one deal and say I'm unofficially picked for the second. But you know what? here, can you do this too? And then so 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 I'm it's getting pretty exciting. It's like popcorn, you know what I'm saying? It's just been in there for a while, and people, they mean it when it's a feast or famine type thing, because I'm telling you, I had no responses, and then within a week I had 3 awards. And so it's like, so just keep going, keep communicating, keep showing up at whatever event, find out who you're supposed to be communicating with, and then put together what you need to communicate to them. And that was another tough thing for me, just, you know, knowing how to efficiently communicate with the people that I need to communicate, so they'll know quickly that I have what they need. I'm ready to help them, and I'm not an idiot. I'm competent, right? Like that has been a journey all in itself. And I'm not even kidding you. You know, how many times you've an email and you're like, man, all right, I'm supposed to email this guy. What am I supposed to say? Like, what am I supposed, I got little templates for that to help me with that and everything. And so you gave me a lot of great ideas with that, just with your online course and stuff like that. Like, you had a lot of stuff in there. And so that was really, really helpful with me just kind of putting a strategy together.
Yeah, it probably makes sense now to you.
Yeah. It's like looking at the same things again. It's like, why didn't I get that the first time? Like, it's kind of like White Man Can't Jump. It's like, you heard Jimmy, but are you listening to Jimmy? You know what I mean? Like,
right.
so it's, I'm looking at the same stuff. I'm watching the same videos, and they're hidden different now. And so it's cool, man. I appreciate what you do, and everything that you put out there for everybody, because, I only listened to a few different people when I was starting to figure this thing out. And you're like the loudest voice there. So I definitely appreciate it.
No, and I'm happy that you came back to reach back and share some of those experiences, because, lots of people don't want to kind of share in on their, I guess, trade secrets, so to speak. But I don't think there's any trade secrets about any of this stuff, right? It's, you do the activities, you put in the work, and you're going to get the results. You mentioned it. You got to be capable and competent. That's what they're looking for. They're looking for people to manage projects, not actually do specific things. So if you can manage teams, organize yourself, and organize other people, that's what they're looking for. We need more leaders. We don't need more workers. So I
100%.
that. I'm sure you've seen
Absolutely.
They're looking for leadership.
Oh yeah.
They're looking for leadership at all levels.
Oh yeah. And something else too, couple things. You connected me to two phenomenal people. Kevin Williams is one. He's a phenomenal individual, and that's been very, very helpful. And you connected me to Brian Amster, which was surprising to me, because he's another lighting guy and stuff. But dude has been so forthright with information and stuff. Like, nobody's had any, hey, secret squirrel stuff I can't tell you. Everybody has been like, and I was like, man, it's been very, very helpful. Very, very helpful to have people to kind of really help you along the journey. So I appreciate you for sending both those guys my way on different calls that I've left my information, those calls, when you'd always be like, hey, state what you do, where you're from, and everything else, and everything. You're just connecting people left and right. And then also in your cohort, when I was doing your deal there and stuff, it's it's just been very, very helpful and important, because this, it's a lonely road. It's not forever. You're not on the calls and listening to stuff all the time. You're trying to do it. And if you don't want to bang your head against the wall, you got to find a community some daggone where, you know what I mean? And then you'll lock in and know that you're on the right path, because you don't get many signs until it's there,
No,
so
you don't. That was very well said, like you said that, because you're right. You don't get many signs like go this way arrows until it's there. So that's good. Well, I'm glad you held on. And if I remember correctly, I mean, you've got a big family.
Yeah. Got 5 midgets. Man. I got a lot of reasons why to keep going,
Yeah. Well, I say that because I think a lot of times when we see people we don't know, right? We say that we're only in a situation like, someone says, well, I have 3 kids, or I have 4 kids, or I have this and that. And so we make excuses for why we can't do things. And my job here is to strip that away and to say how you can and why you can. And that should be a bigger why, not a lesser why. So
absolutely. And I even somebody else told me, they're like, man, can you just help me get all my certifications and stuff at my own speed? Like, I don't want to do. And so I listened to your video on hey, if you don't have anything and you can't figure out what to do, then help somebody else. And he was my first consulting client, got him to having all of his designations and everything, had him at some events and stuff. He's already made some good connections and stuff. But at first I'm like, you know, unless you've actually done anything or achieved some big success, you're like, man, I can't help anybody with anything. You know what I mean? But in one video, I knew that, hey, you know, where you are right now, that's where he'd like to be, you know, qualified and figuring stuff out. And that's where he's at right now. And so it's just, trying to do anything and everything I can in the space. And it's just led to more and more stuff, you know?
And you're going to get more by giving. I can promise you that. You're going to learn by teaching, and you're going to get by giving. So don't stop that trait, because that's what's got me to where I'm at. And that's why I'm so connected now, because like I said, a lot of times I'm in these rooms and I'm getting personal invites, and I'm going to backdoor meetings, and, you know, because I've been giving so much to the community, and people see that and they recognize that. So
Absolutely.
Don't stop that at all.
I will not, brother.
Don't change. So, hey, man, listen, I appreciate you, Chris, for coming on today and sharing a little bit about your experiences. And I'm happy to see your face again. And I didn't realize it's been that long. You know,
Yeah.
you know, I hadn't realized it's been a year already. And listen,
Yeah.
I better see you at the conference in 2025. You know,
I'll be there at the next one, bro.
right,
I'll be there at the next one for sure.
I want to see you
Yes,
on
sir.
the yacht with us. Okay.
You got it.
And listen, by the way, my event, I would say this about the event. This was the first event that I actually seen where people brought their families, their spouses and stuff. So a lot of the other events, I've never seen that. But I don't know if because it's Miami or because we're at the Fountain Blue. I don't know, but a lot of people,
Yeah.
it's the first time I met their wives and kids and family and things like that. So I thought it was great. People use it as a getaway for themselves as well.
Yeah.
And so that's a great
Absolutely.
opportunity as well. So, hey.
Yeah.
So,
No, I
you know,
appreciate
if
that.
you wanna,
We'll definitely make it a family outing.
Yeah. Make a
That's
family.
right.
Ask
I'm down
permission
with
your
it.
wife to come to Miami by yourself. So, you know.
Yeah, for
Bring the
sure.
family. All right, man.
100%,
I appreciate you,
100%,
Chris.
man. I appreciate you.
Thanks for coming on today. Thanks for
Yes,
sharing
sir.
your story. All right.
Absolutely. Have a good one, bro.
Thanks.